Hi friends, I am Tammy. Welcome to my channel. And do you ever wonder what colors to use on my palette for my composition? Are you ever confused about which ones go together well? All the things. We are painting this today. This really interesting, not traditional sunflower with a little help from my new friend called the Color Cube. On camera, I randomly pulled this card and this became my inspiration for my composition, for my color palette today. So if you'd like to paint this really funky, brilliant, and different sunflower today, then let's go. And I'm gonna show you exactly what to do. Okay, so again, painting something like this. And we're gonna be choosing our color palette today at random. So here we go. The color palette is, ooh, that's pretty. Kind of a pastel-y color situation with some gray and stuff. So we will see how this goes. Let's set it up. So this is pretty fun. We're gonna do that sunflower and we're just going to have a lot of fun with it as always. So I've got my Saunders watercolor paper, Saunders Waterford cotton paper. Use what you have. I'm using what I have. Look at this. This came indented like that from Amazon. I will try to press that out later. We'll see how that works. And I've got my Winsor Newton watercolor paints. If you're interested in the colors I use, you can check out all these things in the description of this video. I've got my paper towel, my water, all the brushes, not all the brushes, let's be honest. There's a lot missing in my Color Cube inspiration. So I'm gonna start by grabbing my number 8 round brush and I'm just kind of doing my own little thing here. Now the center of this is not going to be that lovely, brilliant, you know, the browns and then maybe some yellow in there. So my brain is just kind of going woo right now because we are going to be experimenting. So we're gonna start with maybe some gray. Now I'm not doing these exactly how they are. We're just gonna we're using it as inspiration for what we already have on our palette. I'm gonna do off-centered, kind of like this probably. So we're gonna start with our center part. It's a very large center, so I'm just dabbing my brush and I want to go large. I don't want it to be kind of, you know, this small little thing happening because we have this whole palette to utilize. So I'm just adding these tiny little stipple marks here in about the shape of a circle. Kind of getting towards a circle or sphere here. Well, anyway, it's flat, so it's not a sphere, but anyway, you know what I mean. So getting that, and I think I want to go even a little bit larger. So this is going to be all wet. If you wanted to, you could just do the whole thing in water, and then you could just play with wet on wet here if you wanted to. So I just thought we would do this stippling action today. And just about a circle. So that's kind of that bluish gray, and then there's kind of this situation. You've got different levels or types of shades of these colors to choose from. And we're gonna take some blue and start putting that in. I have a pretty bright blue here. So to tone it down, we're gonna take the opposite color, which is orange. And we're gonna just add that in a little bit. Look at that, I made green. Too much. Let's add in a little bit of the gray to tone it down. Just maybe a little bit of the brown. Tone it down just a little bit. Kind of a greeny situation happening. Hey, we gotta keep trying until we figure it out. So a little bit more of the brown. And I'm just going to start putting some of that color in, okay? Just allowing that to spread and all the fun stuff. A little bit of that wet on wet action. And I like to leave some white space because I think that can be really pretty when you're utilizing these different ways of painting, maybe a little more dark in the center there. And just let that all hang out, and we can always add more color later if we want. So that's what we've got going on with our number 8 round. We're gonna take the number 12. And this is what I'm going to use, these kind of floral colors for my petals. And we're just going to start randomizing and putting things down. I don't want this is not gonna be professional. traditional, so we're just gonna have a lot of fun with it. We've got a pink here that's really bright. I have this lovely kind of mauve-y color, which is pretty close to some of those. So the mauve is really great to have on the palette. We're gonna start doing some of those petals. So we're going to connect. We're trying not to put too much liquid there. We don't want a lot of spreading, and it will spread some. That's okay. I'm gonna press down with the belly of the brush and then lift up slowly, maybe make it a little bit thicker like that, okay? We are doing this sort of sunflower situation, and so we're going to be kind of putting some down here and maybe randomizing where we're putting the different colors. So I wanted to go big, so I'm really drawing out those petals, making sure that you lift off slowly so you have a nice little point at the end. Really pretty like that. Okay, I'll add in here. Remember, if the center is right here, you want your petal to be directly pointing this way from the center. So draw it out, to remind myself to go slower. I do love to paint fast, and there are pros and cons of that. Okay, we'll do another one right here. And since we're off-centered, we're gonna have some of those petals cutting off here, and that's okay. That's okay. Let's do another one over here. So this is just very different, non-traditional, absolutely. And I think this will prove to be a very interesting experiment, wouldn't you say? So if you're enjoying the idea of this video, give it a like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so that you don't miss out on my videos. And make sure to hit that notification bell so that you're getting the notifications when I'm posting different videos and things again. All right, so we've got some of those petals happening there. I'm gonna go over to this pink situation here because I want to use some pink, but it's so crazy intense. And so I want to tone that pink down a little bit. We're just gonna grab a little bit of green, and that might be enough actually, maybe a little bit more. And we'll put in some pink here as well. So I'm just gonna adding it right about there. It's pretty intense. It's a little bit brighter than what's happening here. If you don't want it to be, add some more green. We kind of have a similar color to this here, a little more pink. So I don't mind that it's a little bit different. We're just using inspiration. That one's pretty bright. Inspiration, so that's what these color cubes are supposed to be. So when I saw them, I've seen them several times, and then I saw someone else was advertising them, and I was like, you know what? I gotta try one and see how it is, because they look like they could be a whole lot of fun. Especially if you're just like, you know what? I'm not sure what colors to use. I'm kind of bored of my color palette, the way I'm utilizing it. Let me try my hand at something different. Then it can be a really good way for you to experiment and all the things. So if you're painting with me, let me know in comments, how is it going? If you plan on painting this later, let me know in comments as well. I always like to hear what people's commitments are, what they're planning on doing later, maybe after work or whatever, depending on the day that you're watching this. But it is important to commit to the things that you want to change, that you want to do differently. And, I don't know, why not on a comment? Giving you that chance to kind of check in. So we've got some crazy things happening on our paper here, but we have many more petals to go. We can be doing some layers over the top of some of these. And so we have kind of this one is more that, it says puce, but that mauve grayish color on here. If you want to do a variation, maybe a peachy color, that could be pretty fun. So I would take some of the orange mixed with the pink, and you're gonna get sort of that peachy color. So you just experiment. How much do you need until you get to where you're at? So this one, add a little bit of water to that. It's kind of a cute little color there. And I'm just going to, some of these are dry, some of these are not. If they are dry, you go ahead and paint over the top of them, no problem. And just layering it up. Remember our sunflowers, which is kind of what this is, right? The idea of a sunflower, you know, they have layers upon layers of petals. So you want to make sure that you are generous with those. So speaking of generosity, hadn't planned this, but I was just thinking, you know, I do love to talk about mental health, self-care, and all that stuff, but I'm curious, how generous would you say that you are, you know, on a daily basis or a monthly basis or whatever it is, with your time, you know, with your resources, with your abilities? Because, you know, we think about, often we're struggling with a lot of things, and there's this, you know, idea that when we are able to help other people, it takes the attention, the sadness or the depression, whatever we're dealing with, it takes it off of ourselves, even if just for a moment, and gives us something else to focus on and to think about. And, you know, some people do not have a lot of resources, you know, with which to be generous. But we all have time that we can give. You know, we have limited amounts, but there's always a way in which we can give back to someone else. Okay, I went ahead and dried this with my heat gun because I really didn't want things mixing too much. But continuing with that discussion, and I might go a little bit darker with some of these now, we'll see. Some of the discussion of generosity, you know, where are the places where you can give a little extra? If you feel like you cannot, it's just something to consider, because, you know, sometimes there's a friend or someone you sort of know that you notice has been struggling with something for a while, maybe a relationship that's breaking up, financial struggles, and they just need someone just to listen for a few moments, let them know, you know, it's going to be okay, you're there for them, that kind of thing. So, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is when we are generous with our time, it gives us a chance to be helpful and a chance to give back and a chance to make someone else smile. And when we smile, you guys, we feel better. So just something for you to think about today as we're painting along together, as we're considering all the things. All right, I've got that kind of peachy color on here. I wanted to add a few more over here. So what I'm doing, I'm just overlapping those petals that I've already put down as things are dry. Now, if things are not dry, they will not overlap in the way that you want. I will do some more details once things are dry too over the top, and that'll be really fun. So you can see that this is an interesting color palette, you know, I'm actually really enjoying this. And I have to be honest with you, because I did draw at random this color palette first, not this one, but another time, and I filmed it and I was like, nope, because it was just a grayscale, and I could have used that, but I'll be honest with you, I paint in color. I mean, don't we all? But I love bright, brilliant color, and that just was not gonna do it for me. I should actually take all those grayish ones out, because I thought, you know, a gray and black and different shades of gray, you know, for this sunflower, it's just not gonna work out. So anyway, full disclosure on that one. We said no thanks to that one. But look, we've got some darker color. We're going to stipple in some more and do like around the sides and do some shadows. I've got that mixed up, ready to go. My water is getting really gray. I think what I want to do now is start adding in some leaves. So I don't have a color on here for some leaves, you know, on this situation. I'm going to do green, because this for me was supposed to be what the bloom was going to look like. So hopefully you'll forgive me that using a green is going to work, even though it's not in the color palette I chose. But I want to make it look like, have some parts that are more realistic and others that are not. And we'll just see how it turns out. So within this, you know, you can start adding in some of those big classic cool sunflower leaves. We can even do some lines for details later if you want to. I think I will want to. And you know, these leaves are poking out from behind. You've got maybe some smaller ones. And then I'm gonna do a larger one over here too. So this is my green gold color from Winsor and Newton. It is beautiful. I love it so much. Just gonna squiggle my brush like this as we're bringing all this together. It's a brilliant color. I think it's gonna look good with this floral here that we have with this color palette. And look at how bright it is. It's lovely. Oh, I hope you're having fun. If you are, please give this video a like if you haven't already, to let people know, and leave a comment. Let me know what is one thing you like the best. All that stuff really does help out my channel with the algorithm, and leaving a comment, sharing your opinion, your ideas really helps the most. And lets people know that, you know, we're having a good time over here on this video, in this tutorial, and that other people should check it out as well. So I appreciate all that. And guys, if you didn't know, I do teach watercolor on Patreon. It's linked in the description of this video. And that's where you can get cool bonus content specific to subscribers, like exclusive tutorials. And we even just do live streams once a month. And where that's more of a longer class type thing, we sometimes go over warm-up exercises and, you know, extra instruction that I wouldn't give in a tutorial because we don't have enough time. So, and with the exclusive Patreon tutorials, I'm trying to make it more, especially beginner friendly. So I've got some warm-ups at the beginning, some exercises that we can do that'll just help us as we're starting to get our painting together, whatever it is we're painting that day. We just have a lot of fun. And so definitely check out that link, and you can join the $3 or $6 level, either one of those for videos and even live stream, just for 7 days free, just to check it out. Alrighty, so we've got our basic layers on there. It's really interesting how this mauve color is really bringing out the texture in the paper there. All right, so now I think things are dry enough that we can start. I'm gonna take my number 8. We can start adding in this really pretty Payne's gray. It's very dark, and it's a darker version of basically this thing happening here. It is a gray, but it's very interesting in that it is, well, it is a very blue gray, which I really love. And I'm just going to be stippling on the outside. I want to clean up these edges. I want to connect things closer, petals closer, because we left some white space as we were drawing in our petals. There we go. And just going to be very random about this, okay? This is where we're adding in kind of some of those shadows, cleaning up the edges, adding in some texture, and just making it all pretty. So what do you guys think so far? Let me know in comments if you have an idea of, you know, something you'd like to see me paint next with a color cube. I would love your suggestions. The color cube is really fun. I don't usually feel confused about what color palette I want to use. And yet I know there are days where I can use some extra inspiration. So this is quite perfect for that. So you can do the stippling. Like I said, I don't want it to all be, you know, uniform, and you can even just fill in some of that a little bit more to have that blocked off. I'm going to now, and I did clean out my water. I forgot to mention that, but I did do that. So I'm going to grab a little bit more green, or sorry, some blue here. A little more blue, mixing a little bit of that gray in there. I do want that brightness, a little brown in there. I want some brightness more than just that gray. And I'm gonna dab it so I can see a little bit more of that blue coming through, kind of going underneath, you know, that first layer. So we have a variation, and that's a really pretty thing. I would never have thought of, you know, using these colors, of course. This doesn't look realistic, but you know, you don't have to do realistic. You don't have to do realism. I'm dying to add in some splatter just to like start to bring things together. So I'm gonna do that, and we're gonna make it kind of this light blue color. Usually when I'm just tapping the brush, moving it around like this, I just always know what color I'm gonna use for the splatter. It just comes to me when I'm like, okay, splatter time, and then whatever color comes to mind, I'm like, yep, that's what I'm using, and I just go with that. Just go with it, go with your gut, enjoy the process. Alrighty, these dry a little bit. So we can start to do some more details. So I'm gonna see, what am I gonna grab? I've got a number 2, it's really small, but it's gonna give me some pretty details on here. And actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm actually gonna grab, if you have a brush that's like a number 4 or something, I'm just grabbing a small dagger brush. This is a 1/4 inch dagger because I don't wanna go too small today. I want to add in, let's see, let's use this mauve. Well, the mauve is kind of doing some strange marks here with the paper. I don't know what's happening with that color, but I think I'm going to mix a little bit of mauve in my palette here with the pink. That pink is so bright, but if we were to take that mauve, it's going to tone it down a little bit, make it less crazy. So we've got, this is kind of in that color family, and we are going to start adding in some details. So I'm trying not to touch the center. I don't want it to spread. Let me go down here. I've got my splatter that's wet. So I'm just taking that really pointy part. If you want to take a number 2, you really can. You know, this way I have a broad side of the brush and I can start to spread things out a little bit more. So what I'm essentially doing is I'm marking in the middle, and then we're outlining some of where those petals are. And not that we have to outline all of them, but it's just gonna give it some fanciness, some pizzazz to our pretty painting, especially the ones that are on top. But I do want to make sure that this color is going all the way around on the outside. It's gonna start bleeding a little bit. That's okay. If you're not into that, you can totally hit it up with a hairdryer or a heat gun. I'm not gonna worry about it. I think it's going to create some more interesting bits, you know, so we're just gonna go with it. And so I'm really just using this to make some cool sketchy lines. We can even go in right here because our sunflower, you could leave it how it is, but I do like those fancy marks. And I'm thinking, you know, this was a really exciting experiment because I had no idea how this was gonna turn out. And, you know, despite having picked gray before, and I said no to gray, this is the second one that came up and I went with it. And I was like, hey, kind of some pastel-ish colors happening, some gray blue. This could be a really great discovery. So you don't need the color cube to do this. You can just grab colors at random from your palette, put them together. What do you got? Bibbidi bobbidi boo. I had to do it. Oh my goodness. But seriously, bibbidi bobbidi boo, here we go. So what do you guys think? You know, fall is upon us, sort of. And so I feel like, you know, sunflowers are such a, I mean, in my opinion, a fall flower, even though they're growing in the summer, right? But, you know, you have them in those bouquets, in those fall inspired bouquets and the decor and all that, because they have that beautiful classic fall, you know, that bright yellow, maybe some oranges, and part of that color palette. So anywho, this is something that works well together. I'm loving it. If you're loving it, let me know below. Send me some love. Say hi. Let me know where you're from too. I love it. I have so many people that are from not this country, not the United States. And I love hearing from you, hearing where your time zone is, what you enjoy about watercolor, all that stuff. So thank you for being here, being a part of this channel. You're the reason why it grows, and I appreciate you all. Alrighty. So I've got some of these marks down here. I'm loving how it's starting to come to life. If you don't like some of the marks, you can just take some water and start to blend them out a little bit. But I'm kind of digging those lines, those marks. If you need more marks, you can do that too. But I love the layered look of this, starting to add in a few petals and then adding more and more over the top until you have a really pretty composition, kind of like this. Okay, so we're gonna let this settle right now. I'm just tempted to continue, but I need to get on to the next thing, which is these gorgeous leaves. Look at that baby coming together. Girl, you're gorgeous. Oh my goodness, guys, you do not understand the mental gymnastics that goes through my head when I am painting something new, when I've not done a sample, because I've not done a sample for this. I usually do a sample, but I haven't. Not usual. I often do a sample, let's say that. Let's get some sap green on that palette. We're gonna add in some lines. I love this dagger. It's giving me an uneven line situation, which I actually really like. So adding in some lines here, thicker, thinner, all the things, beautiful. Yeah, so there's a lot of mental gymnastics that happen. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, I hope this turns out and we're not wasting all the people's time and my own. Alrighty then, how is your version turning out? Let me know. And have you thought about just, you know, being generous? If you don't have a lot of time, but you have more money, you know, maybe there's a place where, you know, someone needs some help, a donation or something like that, whether it's a church organization or a charity, someone that you know, just finding ways to give back. If you are grateful for the ways in which you've been able to accomplish things in your life, and giving back gives you a sense of peace, of being able to help. Look at this, we're just adding in some little marks here because now I'm getting confident. I'm like, okay, it's coming together. Let's add some prettiness, extra prettiness to this little composition here. So at this point you can look and say, okay, does it need anything else or are we good to go? And I feel like we're pretty good to go. I'm just gonna darken up some of those here. And if you wanted to, you know, you could, I don't know, add some more, you know, teal or different greens, whatever. But I think we're done. Yeah. All right, friends, we have finished up another bloom and boom, this is what we got. I hope you had so much fun with me today. And I hope you also enjoyed thinking about and learning about and reflecting on the idea of being generous, whether it's with your time or your money or something else that you can come up with. It really does make a difference in our mental health and our attitude. Happy painting, happy mental health. See you in the next video.